Tomorrow, NASA takes a step forward in the race to get humans back to the moon. They plan to test the core stage of their SLS rocket. NASA officials say they hope the new rocket technology will be what fuels their mission to the moon by 2024 and eventually to Mars. I spoke with astronauts Kate Rubins and Colonel Mike Hopkins earlier today. They're on a mission aboard the International Space Station. Our conversation took place as they were in orbit above the South Atlantic Ocean. Kate, you're one of the astronauts who will start training for the first human mission to the moon coming up in nearly 50 years, really. What would it mean for you to be the first woman to set foot on the moon?
I'm just pretty excited to be able to join the team. It's pretty amazing to see what we're doing. SLS has about 8.5 million pounds of thrust, so this is the heaviest rocket, the most powerful rocket we've ever built. And of course, I think everybody knows what going to the moon is going to mean to us as Americans, as well as all of our international partners. For me personally, I think there's an amazing amount of science to be done on the moon.
So the thought of, well, I'll be the first woman, that's really not part of it for you. It's science-centered.
Absolutely. Hopper knows me well, and he'll tell you the same thing.
Colonel, last month you were sworn into the Space Force, the first Space Force Guardian actually in space. What do you hope this new branch of the military is able to accomplish?
It's a mission that the Air Force has had for quite some time now. And so really, I think the Space Force is going to just ensure that space is available for everybody.
Sitting around the table, sharing stories with people from a world away with entirely different life experiences, I wonder if there's one that you've said, man, I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to tell people about that when I get home, because that perspective was interesting, and it made me think.
My first flight when I was up here in 2013, and there were some world events that were going on at the time with our Russian colleagues, and so there was definitely a different perspective on those events. When you get down to the individual level, you more often can find a lot in common than the things that divide us.
If we understand each other better, history says and experience indicates we'll all be better off together. But since you bring it up, there's some stuff going on down here you may have noticed, and I wonder what it's like to see these historic moments, a changing of the guard politically and all that surrounded it at the Capitol last week. I wonder what it's like to be a witness to that from a world away, and if that's part of your discussions at all.
There's an interesting thing that happens up here. We circle the globe every 90 minutes. We pass over Houston, we wave. We pass over Washington, D.C., and we wave. So we are very far away, but we're also close. And our thoughts just are going out to everybody that's going through a difficult time. We know that this is a tough time, not just for America, but for the whole world. So we are with you.
You know, over the years, I've had the real privilege and honor to speak to a number of people who are sitting in the places where you are. And I must admit, I hadn't thought about it, but most of them were men and most of them had short hair. So we have a unique thing going on here. It's sort of like an elephant in the room. If I don't mention it, it would be weird. How do you handle your hair, which at this moment seems to be doing its own thing in its own way?
That is a great question. It definitely does its own thing. I keep it long because you can go from, very important to very quickly tacking it down when we gotta do a science experiment. But this is part of who I am, and I think one of the really neat things about being up here with people from all walks of life is the boys get to learn what it's like.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.